if my dear love were but the child of state, it might for fortune's bastard be unfathered, as subject to time's love or to time's hate, weeds among weeds, or flowers with flowers gathered. No, it was builded far from accident. It suffers not in smiling pomp, nor falls under the blow of thralled discontent, whereto the inviting time our fashion calls. It fears not policy, that heretic, which works on leases of short-numbered hours, but all alone stands hugely politic, that it nor grows with heat, nor drowns with showers. To this I witness call the fools of time, which die for goodness, who have lived for crime. Right, this morning, another list. And it brings us back to this DVD that came floating down the river. So again, like yesterday, we'll drop and start. So local update. The army is in overdrive. We've seen that. I saw the helicopter go past 4 times yesterday, 3 times the day before. It's 7:30 this morning and helicopter traffic's already started this morning. There's been helicopter central around here. The police dropped into the front yard here. There's been choppers all through the sky. We went around and looked at the pub. It can't get much further down the road than that. The pub will get looked after by the beer men, like Forex, and the towns themselves are inaccessible. So I got this feeling in the second, third night of that rain, like it just wouldn't end. And given my experience, like I knew hell was being unleashed. And when the river rose up here, I just had this gut feeling something very, 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 very bad was going on. I could feel it right from the word go. So I just grace to all those that have lost something. Now, let me go back to this video. Suspenseful, mysterious, and action-packed. The event is a Lost meets 24 thrill ride, right? A Lost meets 24 thrill ride. So, Lost. We kind of discussed this yesterday, abracadabra. Lost at sea, holy sea, of the mind. Mindless, lunatic, as they would say in the old days. Men of the moon. Right, so Lost. Now, we all know that failed TV show Lost. It was pretty interesting, but lost the plot. Lost the plot. Right, so lost. How we lost. Lunatic equals that menstrual cycle, men's mind. Right, so of the mind, lunar, mental health. And you can see that these nasty demonic people, that's all they offer you, because they know that you can't find your way home. You must be lunatic, you must be of the moon, men of the moon, stuck in that civil side of life instead of the spiritual side of life. Right, so you're lost. You can't find your way home. Which brings us back to Cesta QV trusts. And the Crown holding something for you while you were lost at Holy See. Now, I'd like to go through Cesta QV. Everyone mentions 1666, but I'd actually like you to go and read 1707 Cesta QV. It lays out how to return home. It lays out what these nasty people have done. And they won't acknowledge it in their very own court systems. And this is where we're going, because Jesus said we came not to break the law, we came to fulfill it. So are we lost if we can find our way home spiritually? Right? Spiritually is something we discussed yesterday in relation to Jewish mysticism and 33-degree Freemasonry, the Scottish Rite. We also discussed the papist links to Charles III and openly saw the Pope visit Charles III about a month ago. Right, so this leads us to, are we lost at sea if we know our Anzac and our stone, and then the Holy Ghost that is formed from such things, the spirit of the Anzac and the Holy Ghost that becomes the hand of God, that becomes Christ. Sean Walker goes looking for his missing girlfriend. He stumbles upon a massive government conspiracy that is bigger than the president himself. Is this bigger than you, Albo? Is this bigger than your Prime Minister itself, given that it's a line of authority to God, under the will of God, in an estate, under the Father? Through the Father, Albo. Only through the Father, I believe, the will to the estate said. So that will, 24. A lost meets 24. And we mentioned Luke yesterday too. So Abia, Luke 1:5, in the days of Herod there was a certain priest of the course of Abia. And Abia was a course that was one of 24, wasn't it? A course of one of 24. So did that lay out something that might have led you to not being mindless? Being mindful. Being mindful, not lost of your own mind, not being lunatic. Not being lunatic. Right? So where we come to Genesis, creation. Right? Genesis 1:9, raising the waters raising up out of international waters. This is being recognized as that biblical foundation. And John 3 saying to Nicodemus, well, why don't you know? Why don't you know the foundations of God if you proclaim to rule over the estate of God? Well, why don't you know those foundations? Are they false? False foundations? That would make you imposters, wouldn't it? Pretenders, the great pretenders. But if the children are all lunatics, then that would make you a nanny, a guardian. But then if you enslave all the children and put them into sweat labour, how can you be a nanny? Biblically, you're just now a slave trader, aren't you? And not a nanny. So instead of looking after the estate, you treat them like a prison and put them into slave labour. Slave labour like in a salt mine, because they have no salt. Right, because they're unable to put their oils down. And we would like to discuss all of that into the future. What is this oil, right? Okay, so given current circumstances and the moving around and the trying to set up, the shop that we planned to have is now underwater completely. Can't see the roof. So that's a no-go. Financially, I told the real estate to hold off because we were needing a little bit more finances. But now the shop's underwater. So I kind of like perturbed what to do. I bought a coffee machine. I was ready to go. Now shop's underwater. Not really sure what to do. So if you want to help me out now, someone could go to a shop and buy me 2 12-volt chargers, like 25 amp 12-volt chargers that I can plug into a 240-volt socket. This phone is shit, so if you want to do some proper video, a camera would be nice. A good phone to do a camera, I don't care at this point. I've got solar. I need advice. So if anybody else does solar, please talk to me. I'm going to need a new MPPT unit to set up this coffee trailer. So I need some advice and I need equipment too. I'm in a remote country territory which has just gone through a nightmare. So it's a bit hard to even get out to the shops. I mean, shops are 3 hours away, but there's no road. There's no road. There's no road. I can't believe it. And in respect to this, Pauline Hanson, One Nation, I mean, you've got to drive all of your people behind closed doors. There's a lot of people that are actually in dire straits here. So I'd like to make a proposal here that if your home no longer exists on your block of land, that the government should give you 30 grand and not ask for anything in return. And Pauline, I'd like to see that you get that done. Because to have your whole home lifted off its stumps and moved across your property and smashed into a million pieces, I mean, it's hard enough to start again, let alone rebuild a house. Okay, so I'd like the government to look at those people that actually don't have homes left on their property. Everyone else can be looked at in a slightly different manner, but a home that's been completely removed off its stumps and taken by water, I'd like to see homeowners be given 30 grand, Pauline. Rebuild road down to Woodjul ASAP. I mean, get the army on it now, like today. Armies can build roads. Get all the local road building people on it today and build that road all the way down to Woodjul again. It's the only road out to Cape Tribulation. It's the only road down to several towns, Ayton, Rossville, Woodjul. Right? It's a national heritage with the Lion's Den and the Daintree Rainforest and the tourism. I mean, build that road straight away. And then the road down to Mariba, get that rebuilt like today. Get them on it now. We know how fast you can rebuild roads. You resurfaced this road only a month ago. And I mean, you resurfaced sections overnight that were 30 kilometres long overnight. So if you can do that overnight, you can rebuild a road in days. And I mean days. And then the last request that I'd like to make from you, Pauline, is make sure that these farmers with the helicopters have unlimited fuel, and that anyone that owns a home in any one of those towns can book in with a farmer for a flight to go home, to go through their home and collect belongings and clean up and do all these sorts of things and then come back to a hotel. So I'm asking you that, Pauline, because this is not the suburbs of Sydney or the suburbs of Melbourne. There's just helicopters flying all day for the last 3 days. Right, not cars, not ambulances, not fire trucks, helicopters. Right, so I'd like you to see that all these farmers aren't out of pocket for helping Woodjul people get back to and from their homes. And I'd like you to see that that is enabled into the near future, so these farmers can help those homeowners just go back and see and clean up and collect belongings and do whatever. Now, Buddha said this: only one thing is important, the sun, the moon, and the truth. And I walked into a courtroom and I said to David Halpin, that cretin David Halpin, the one that's doing all the propaganda, I said, there's only one thing that matters here in this courtroom, the sun, the moon, and the truth. And I meant it, David. I meant it, David. Jesus didn't come to break the law, he came to fulfill it. All right? And that's where we're at. We come back to 24 hours and we look at Abia and we look at the foundations with God, our Anzac, and this curial right you denied. This curial right you denied, where did it come from? It came from the foundations that were laid down by an ancestry or lineage that I am linked to through my blood, David. Through my bloodline, David. My blood, David. And we saw Jacinta on the news acting like a mixed breed. Mixed breed. It's all right to be a mixed breed when God told you not to be. And then join the people that told you not to be racist, but deny you your race. Fucking hell. David, nothing matters but the sun, the moon, and the truth. And we aren't lost at holy seas anymore, because under those 24 hours, Abia, the house that defined all these things, Orion rising to midnight. Are we 1 second before midnight, David? And are you the one that's about to suffer God's wrath for all criminal offences that you occurred, that you created, David? That you created, David, while you played with men's minds, men's rear. You believed they didn't have mind. You treated them as mindless, without salt, without oils. You treated them as dumb. And in that you thought you could nanny them and enslave them and treat them like salt mine workers in the allegory of the cave. Didn't you, David? And then you supported a mob that jibby-jabbied and mandated police and army and nurses, while we discovered we dreamed another dream and didn't like your dream because it was a nightmare. The ocean, the sea, the law of mare. Nightmares might have horses called mares. So where did this curial right come from? It came from being able to anchor in this spiritual hell that these people created in a mysticism or magic that they enslaved you in with your mind, so that you failed to remember who you are, how to get back there and be grounded or anchored with the spiritual laws of natural order or God, and instead have lumped you with all of this hell and dystopia. It's a demonic practice being practiced by necromancers and witches like David Halpin in his little black robe. Right? The magician, the magic straight, the one who knows about fire, the one who knows about all these things that might take part in some sort of government conspiracy on behalf of foreign international monetary powers under the International Monetary Fund Act 1947. I think we call them rehabilitation funds, do we? And what do WEF partners want with all the slaves, Albo? Why do you need more immigration to please your WEF partners' plans? Do you need more slaves in the farm to fulfill the monetary interests of your WEF partners? While Zionist mysticists enslave the mind of people until they can't return back spiritually to their gods. Look at all these Aboriginal communities out here that are lost, Albo. You didn't give them a voice. You further took it from them. That sounds like a government conspiracy to me, Albo. Total government conspiracy to me, when Justice Lonergan on the Supreme Court of New South Wales called your world, Albo, a delusion. Deluded, Albo. Or is it all the children you look after that are in your delusion? Not marble, nor gilded monuments, of princes shall outlive this powerful rhyme, but you shall shine more bright in these contents than unswept stone besmeared with sluttish time. When wasteful war shall statues overturn, and broils root out the work of masonry, nor Mars his sword, nor war's quick fire shall burn the living record of your memory. 'Gainst death and all oblivious enmity shall you pace forth, your praise shall still find room, even in the eyes of all posterity that wear this world out to the ending doom. So till the judgment that yourself arise, you live in this and dwell in lovers' eyes.